Well, hey, JPII world, long time no see. Guess I got busy with the things of a pastor and haven't been able to do these videos in quite a while. But my little pilgrimage in the footsteps of John Paul II is just around the corner. Monday I leave, and so I wanted just to give you maybe a little overview of what I'm looking at. I thought about doing a parish pilgrimage. I think I raised that possibility about a year ago, but with the war in Ukraine and other things, I just didn't feel good about promoting that or trying to make that happen. But I kept feeling nudged, prompted to make it myself. Not so much for myself, but I just felt we needed it maybe for the parish. I don't know for sure. I'm not going over there with any expectations really, but just as a pilgrim to walk and to pray where John Paul II did, be it where he was the Cardinal Archbishop or at his childhood home or in the mountains that he liked to hike in. Just want to go and listen. He's our patron, and I just believe that he will help provide what we need to take the next steps that God has in mind for us. So to hear what those are, and then to show us, how to respond. There it is, our planet and our continent, North America. Thanks to Google Earth, I'm able to do just a little bit of an overview. And it's an interactive overview. You'll see what I mean towards the end. So we'll start. I leave on Monday the 24th, I believe it is. So I leave from our little temporary home here in Olathe, St. John Paul II. I'll leave in the afternoon. Of course, I'll fly out of MCI somewhere around 2 o'clock. And then the first leg of my journey takes me to Detroit. I'm flying Delta, at least for part of the trip. So I have a relatively short layover in Detroit before I fly to Amsterdam. So I think I leave, I don't know, 4 o'clock or so, and then end up here in the Netherlands. I don't think I'll have enough time to do anything between my arrival in Amsterdam and my flight to Krakow. So from Amsterdam to Krakow, it's not all that far. I don't even know if it's 2 hours. But here's a bird's eye view, and yes, Mom, Poland does share a border with Ukraine. That's right. Don't worry, don't worry. So I'm scheduled to land at John Paul II International Airport. You know, you're in a Catholic country if your airport is named after a pope. And let's see, I think I get there about 11 a.m. on the 25th. And I'll make my way to, a hotel or bed and breakfast or whatever, but I'm not going to show you that. That would just be creepy, have you watching me from afar. But later that day, I'll make my way to Wawel Hill. So I'll spend some time at the cathedral, Wawel Cathedral, which was first built in the 11th century, though the original structure was destroyed by fire. The building we're looking at was built in the 14th century. For hundreds of years, the cathedral was the Polish coronation site, and it also served as the monarchy's family church and burial ground. So there are several Polish kings that built chapels attached to the cathedral to house their remains after death. and their tombs are still in the cathedral to this day. So John Paul II, whose baptismal name was Karol Wojtyła, so Father Karol Wojtyła's first Mass was on November 2nd, 1946 in the St. Leonard's Chapel in the crypt of the cathedral, where I'll be saying Mass on Wednesday, October 26th. John Paul II was also consecrated as a bishop in this cathedral on September 28, 1958. It was Archbishop Karol Wojtyła's cathedral from 1962 to 1978. Also here is the castle, Wawel Castle. Maybe I can move this around a little bit. So you're seeing the cathedral here, and then the castle. That became the residence of the Polish monarchy in the 11th century. Today, the castle houses the Krakow Art Museum and several tapestries, the Polish crown jewels, art museum, and it still remains a symbol of Polish national pride. So I understand there's a Polish legend that once upon a time a dragon who lived on Wawel Hill near the Vistula River would terrorize the city of Krakow and could only be appeased with a weekly allotment of cattle. One of the princes saved the city by stuffing one of the cattle full of sulfur so that the poisoned dragon died and the townspeople could live in peace. Today, a fire-breathing statue in the castle commemorates this legend. Now, at the end of the day, or towards the end of the day, I will make my way to St. Mary's Basilica, which is built in the Polish Gothic style and dates to the 14th century. So its Gothic altarpiece was the largest triptych in Europe when it was completed in 1489. Is still admired for its beauty and its remarkable preservation. Many of the murals and stained glass windows date to the late 1800s as the basilica underwent extensive renovations. At first as a priest of the diocese, then as an auxiliary bishop of Krakow, John Paul II lived around the corner from this basilica. His residence there is now Krakow's Archdiocese Museum, which now houses many of his former possessions, and it also has exhibits displaying Catholic history and the art of the city. There's a little bit of a close-up of St. Mary's, and then also see that triptych. I hope to get some better pictures when I'm actually in the church itself. That's all carved wood. The stained glass windows are just extraordinary. All right, then the following day, let's see, that will be the 26th. I'll have Mass, as I mentioned, at St. Leonard's Crypt, and then this is still a little tentative, but I think I'll take the better part of the day to journey out to the Tatra Mountains, which is where John Paul II would hike. They're beautiful, extraordinary. So I planned, I think, to get out there, spend some time out in nature. Hopefully the weather will be okay. It looks like it'll be in the 60s or so for highs, which would be just great. On the 27th, which is Thursday, I'll journey to Wadowice, which is John Paul II's town of birth. So his birthday was, May 18th, 1920. So he was born here in Wadowice. The family continued to rent 2 rooms and a kitchen on the bottom floor until John Paul II's mother died in 1929, and he and his father gave up one of the rooms but continued to stay in this home. The two continued to live there, occupying the one remaining room until John Paul II enrolled in the university in Krakow in 1938. And that's when he and his father relocated to Krakow. The house was converted into a papal museum in 1984 and continues to house exhibits related to John Paul II's early life. So I'll also visit Kolbe. Kolbe is a place that John Paul II would frequently visit to make a short retreat and to meditate on our Lord's Passion. He was able to visit twice as Pope. And then the following day, which would be the 28th, 28th, I'll make my way to Częstochowa, to the shrine of Our Lady of Częstochowa, also known as the Black Madonna. It's a venerated icon of the Blessed Mother Mary. It's located at the Jasna Góra Monastery in Częstochowa, Poland. Częstochowa is the most popular shrine in Poland. Pope St. John Paul II visited the shrine many times throughout his life and several times after becoming Pope. Your legend traces the icon that you should see pictured here all the way back to St. Luke the Evangelist, who is said to have painted it on 3 planks of a tabletop from the home of the Holy Family. It was discovered in Jerusalem in 326 by Saint Helena, who was Constantine's mom, and who also found the true cross and took it to Rome. So Helena brought it to Constantinople and presented it to her son Constantine. It came into the possession of the Duke of Opel, who was traveling with the icon, and when passing through Częstochowa, the legend says his horses refused to go on. In a dream, he was advised to leave the icon at Jasna Góra here. The icon was painted on canvas on 3 boards, about 48 inches tall and 32 inches wide. It became a practice for pilgrims to pin jewels and other decorations to the icon. To protect the icon, several dresses and crowns have been used to cover the icon, with only the faces and hands exposed. Then on Saturday, the 29th, among other things, I'm only hitting highlights, but on the 29th, I will go to the Chapel of the Miraculous Image of the Merciful Jesus. We know it as the Divine Mercy, the image of the Divine Mercy. So this chapel was used by the Sisters of Our Lady of Mercy, which was the religious congregation to which St. Faustina belonged. One of her visions of Jesus, after he commanded her to have an image of the merciful Jesus painted, he told her, "I desire that this image be venerated, first in your chapel and then throughout the world." First copy of the image that was painted in 1934 is venerated at St. Faustina's previous convent in Lithuania. A copy of the image, which St. Faustina's spiritual director blessed on the first Sunday after Easter in 1944, is still venerated in the chapel on the side altar to the left of the sanctuary. St. Faustina's tomb, too, can be found on that side of the church, beneath the image which took so much effort for her to have produced. In 2000, St. John Paul II established the first Sunday after Easter as Divine Mercy Sunday, at the same time that he canonized St. Faustina. On Sunday, October 30th, I will make a pilgrimage to Auschwitz and Birkenau, hallowed ground. Auschwitz has become the most infamous of all the Nazi concentration camps, both because of the atrocities
committed there and because of its size. Altogether, it's estimated that 1.1 million people, about 1 million of whom were Jews, were killed in this camp complex. About 80,000 native Polish people, mostly Catholics, were also killed in the camp. And perhaps you know the story about St. Maximilian Kolbe, a Franciscan priest. He was one of the Poles who was sent to Auschwitz in 1941. He'd spent the previous 2 years of the Nazi occupation helping about 2,000 Jews escape capture. And he published anti-Nazi material before the Nazis shut down his monastery and sent his occupants to the extermination camps. Maximilian Kolbe spent 2 months ministering to the inmates at Auschwitz, even risking his life to gain access to the prison hospital or to tend to the sick and the dying. At the end of July in 1941, a prisoner escaped from the camp. The Nazis selected 10 men to be starved in a bunker as a warning against escapes of this type. A father, after he was selected, cried out, "My wife, my children." When Maximilian Kolbe heard that, he volunteered to take the father's place, and the Nazi commandant accepted his offer. After 2 weeks in the starvation bunker, St. Maximilian Kolbe was the only one left alive. He was killed by lethal injection on the vigil of the Assumption, August 14, 1941. John Paul II had great devotion to this Franciscan priest and visited his cell in Auschwitz shortly after being elected Pope. 3 years later, John Paul II canonized St. Maximilian Kolbe on October 10, 1982. The father, whose place Maximilian took, survived the war and was present at the canonization. The last day, among other places, I'll visit the Jewish quarter in the ghetto and then Oskar Schindler's factory. I am aware of this, perhaps you are too, from the movie Schindler's List. So I'll spend some time there as well as just some time wandering around Krakow before I go back to the airport and fly late at night to Ciampino Airport in Rome, a couple hours away. I'm flying Ryanair. You might not have heard of Ryanair. I've flown it a couple times in the past when I lived in Italy. It's a low-cost airline. I think I got a ticket round trip to London for like €20 or something like that. I think this ticket was like 30 to 40 euro. And then I had to add a little bit extra, to be able to take luggage and such. I'm not sure if I have to push the airplane out or if we push it back to the airport. But it's a no-frills airline. That'll take me to Rome. I'll spend the night close to the airport. And then the following day, I'll make my way to St. Peter's Basilica and to the tomb of our patron, John Paul II. I'll spend just 2 quick days in Rome before I then return to the States. I wanted to show you something. I'm going to include a link to this project that I've created. And if you follow the link, it'll take you to Google Earth and you'll be able to cycle through the different sites that I have shown you. But it is interactive in that you can move the map around. You can change from 3D to 2D. But then if you will grab hold of this little guy that you see over here, you can set him out into the city or the mountains and get a view from pictures that have been taken. So there's the front of St. Peter's. How cool is that? So I hope you play around with this a little bit. You saw windows up here, kind of on the top right of your screen. And you can follow those links to give you more information. I'll leave you with this. These are the Babel apartments. This is where John Paul II would come out or make an appearance to give his Wednesday audiences. And maybe I will show this to you when I'm taking a video. I don't know, but you can just barely see an icon over here. I'll try to make a point of getting a better picture for you, but that was placed at John Paul II's request after his assassination attempt. I believe that Mary interceded for him, and the doctors seemed to concur because the trajectory of the bullet changed without any explanation, missing vital organ. To commemorate that event, there is a red cobblestone over here. Maybe I can find that as well. Okay, pray for me. I will pray for you. Bless you.